Welcome to section 4. So in this section we'll be discussing sequence activities. Now this is another important process in the project schedule management knowledge area. So without further ado, let's continue. In this section we'll explore the sequence activities process. And this process focuses on determining the order and relationship among project activities. Now, understanding the sequence of activities is vital for creating a logical project schedule. Alright? Now, this is very important for us to have a smooth flow in the execution of our project. We have to know how the activities logically follow one another. Alright, in order of priorities. We have to be able to sequence them. That's what it means to actually organize your activities, to know which one comes first and followed by which one, as the case may be. Alright, so by the end of this section you should be able to comprehend the significance of sequencing activities. Alright, you'll be able to sequence your activities to be able to place them in a logical order, in a coherent order. Alright, in terms of priorities. Right, we'll also be able to identify the inputs, tools and techniques and outputs of the sequence activities process. Now we'll also learn about different types of dependencies in project scheduling. Okay, so let's jump in. Now, what is the purpose of the sequence activities process? The sequence activities process defines the logical relationships between project activities. So this particular process helps us to understand the relationship between one activity and the other. Alright, and the order of priorities that they follow from beginning to the end in each phase of our project. So this is essential for creating a realistic project schedule. So for you to be able to schedule your project, you have to know the flow of activities from one to the other. Now let's look at the inputs of the sequence activities process. And the first one is the project management plan. And this contains scheduling and resource management details. Next, we have the project documents, which includes the activity lists and activity attributes. So you're going to have a list of all the activities that you have to carry out and the characteristics of each activities, what makes them unique and different from the other. All right. From here, you're going to know their order of priority and to be able to sequence them in that particular order. Next is enterprise environmental factors. These are external factors influencing sequencing. Alright, so we'll have factors within and outside of the environment which influences how we're going to sequence our activities. Alright, so they come as enterprise environmental factors, especially those ones which are external to the project organization. Now we also have organizational process assets. This includes templates, historical information, and lessons learned, especially coming from past projects. Okay. So let's look at the tools and techniques that we employ in this sequence activities process. We have the precedence diagramming methods, the PDM. This is a technique for creating activity sequences using dependencies. Alright, the PDM helps us to be able to sequence our activities based on the dependencies, what each one depends upon. I've tried to explain dependencies earlier on. Okay, so that's what the PDM helps us to do. Now we have dependency determination. Identifying dependencies between activities. What are the dependencies from between each activities? What do they depend on? And these are also critical factors that helps us to know how to sequence these activities. Lead and lag, adding or subtracting the time between activities to create logical sequences. So what are the outputs from these sequencing activities? So the major output from this process is the project schedule network diagram. The project schedule network diagram. This is a visual representation of the project's activity sequence. All right. This diagram helps us to display the whole activities in the project and to know which one comes before the other or after the other. Next is the project document update. Now here we have updates to activity attributes and other relevant documents. And like I said, activity attributes are like the characteristics of each activity. All right. These characteristics helps us to know how important or how influential that particular activity is, and the dependencies, of course. Okay, and also helps us to be able to update the documents that has to do with each of the activities, the information about those activities. So what are the key takeaways from the sequence activities process? The sequence activities process in project management involves determining the order and relationships between project activities to create a logical sequence for project execution. So this is very, very critical for effective and efficient project execution. All right. While you are completing each activities, you need to know which one comes next so that you can quickly flow or move into the next activity when you are done with the current one. So if there is no proper sequencing, by the time you are done with one, it will be difficult for you to start the next, because you may not be sure which one is the next activity, and by so doing, try to figure that out, you're wasting time and also resources. Okay, so it's very important to sequence the activities properly in order to have that smooth flow from one activity to the other. This is the beauty in project execution. Sequence activities is a vital step in creating the project schedule. It ensures that project activities are logically connected and that their order and dependencies are well defined. This in turn helps in optimizing project time, resource allocation, and overall project success. Okay, so there you go, and that brings us to the end of this section. I'll see you in the next section. Cheers.